Hello and welcome to another entry in our Tech Exchange Talks video series. I'm David Maliniak, Executive Editor of Microwaves and RF at Endeavor B2B. Today I'm speaking with Chad Steiner. Chad is Senior Product Marketing Manager at Silicon Labs, and we're going to talk about the company's new FG23L, which is a sub-GHz device for IoT connectivity, and it's the latest addition to the company's Series 2 wireless SoC portfolio. Welcome, Chad. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
All right, let's start, if you would, with a general overview of the device.
Yeah, when you look at where kind of our sub-gig portfolio has gone over the last few years, we've really been focused on adding functionality, adding features, adding, some of the new and emerging RF standards that are coming in sub-gig with FG25 and FG28. And we wanted to take an opportunity with FG23L and really address the more kind of legacy, historic sub-gig applications. So our goal with it was to really create an application optimized SoC. When you look at where the portfolio has been, we've been adding memory, we've been adding GPIO, we've been adding AI/ML capability, and a lot of the simpler applications don't need to carry that burden. So with 23L, the goal was really to go and address those applications like sensors and kind of industrial networks and those more simple applications, and give developers what they need without kind of forcing them to compromise on processor performance or on RF performance. When you look at the parts that are addressing the space today, a lot of them are kind of Cortex M0 or Cortex M4 based. The FG23L carries that same 78 megahertz Cortex M33 core that we have in our entire Series 2 portfolio, which gives about a 50% processor performance improvement for engineers as they develop their applications. And the other sacrifice that engineers have typically had to make in this space is in RF performance. Whether that's output power or receive sensitivity. We have a best-in-class link budget with 23L. Really similar to what we have with our, fully featured FG23 family, that gives engineers about a 1.5 to 2x range improvement over parts that have typically addressed this segment.
Okay. How about some of those key banner specs? What would you point to as the things people would catch people's eye?
I mean, the 78 megahertz M33 that I talked about, it is, it is limited in memory. So it's 32K of RAM, 128K of flash, really streamlined for those applications that are running proprietary networks and don't need to carry the burden of a stack. Up to 23 GPIOs, but we kept the 16-bit ADC, we kept our LE-Sense peripheral, and really, it's meant for those applications that just need to read a sensor and send that data out, but gives engineers the flexibility to add more compute and add more functionality if they need to.
Okay. And one more, just to sort of nail it down, what are some of the target applications that you have in mind?
Yeah, when we look at applications, we're talking about things like smart city sensors, home automation and security sensors, access control remotes and fobs. Smart agriculture is a really emerging market in sub-gig IoT, so we want to be able to address some of those more simple sensor and automation opportunities in agriculture as well.
Okay, so you could have said industrial Internet of Things as well as just plain Internet of Things. It really spans the gamut there.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, and some of the features and benefits, again, that would catch the eye of the designer, things like power consumption, security, power output, that.
Yep, absolutely. So, similar to what we see in other Series 2 portfolio or Series 2 devices, low active current is key here. So, whether you want to look at a, just standard wild one active current of 26 microamps per megahertz or CoreMark active current of about 36, really optimized for low active current. And then when you look at the sleep currents, down in that kind of 1 to 1.5 microamp range, with that 16 kb RAM retention. So, really aimed at those low power applications.
Okay. And security.
Yeah, so this part does leverage our Secure Vault mid that Silicon Labs Series 2 developers should be used to. So, it gives them a lot of advanced encryption. It gives them secure debug, unlock and lock, and some of those functionality that you're used to in Silicon Labs devices.
Okay. And last thing, not last thing, but next to last thing. Some of the where does it fit in again into the family, the Series 2 family?
Yeah, so if you look at where the entire Silicon Labs portfolio of sub-gig, right? We have a lot of success in really simple transceivers and kind of 8-bit wireless SoCs. And then we launched 2020 or in 2021 the FG23, 2023 the FG25, and last year the FG28 to kind of address the higher end. The 23L fits nicely between that transceiver space and the legacy FG23. So it kind of bridges that gap between transceiver and wireless SoC, kind of giving developers a Cortex M based version of those kind of low end transceiver parts.
All right, great. And this is the last thing I'll ask you about today. What's the Silicon Labs always been good about giving the designers what they need to use the device, to work with the device, for time to market, all that good stuff. And tell me some about the resources that you're providing for the FG23L.
Yeah, it's supported by the same tools that we have across our Series 2 portfolio. So that's the Simplicity Studio development environment.
Mhm.
That's our network analyzer tools and everything that come with it as part of that Series 2 development platform. It will be supported in our upcoming Simplicity Studio 6. That'll be rolled out here before the end of the year. So, it really gives developers a platform that they're familiar with today, while also kind of taking and looking at our next generation development environment and what that's going to bring to designers too.
Outstanding. Very good. I think that about sums it up. Thanks a lot, Chad, for taking the time to get us up to speed on the latest from Silicon Labs. And thanks to our viewers for checking in. See you next time.